Good morning. I am really just absolutely thrilled that so many people showed up to hear about the Camino de Santiago. It's something that it changed my life. I think that it's something unique in the world, and it's for adventurous people. And by the way, you are my tribe because you all are very adventurous people just by sitting here in this theater. Do you realize we're going across the ocean, and there's a lot of ocean between us and any land. Y'all are really brave, and you're adventurous souls. So this may or may not be for you. Quick question though, before we get started. How many of you even heard of the Camino de Santiago? Oh wow, before this. Okay. How many of you in this room have actually been on the Camino de Santiago? Oh, good. You're my tribe too. Adventurous souls. Well, listen, I got there really by accident. Didn't even know that it existed. I do need to say before I start, I am not going to sell you anything. I don't represent a travel agency, and all my thoughts and pictures are my own opinions. So it's just based on my experience. I am not an expert, but I'll tell you that when I'm not a salesperson, but I'll tell you, I basically fell into this by accident. I've lived on 4 continents, been to maybe 60, 65 countries, but this journey was something unlike I've ever done before. And I always people ask me about it, there's invariably a few questions that are always repeated. So we'll go through those, because listen, there have been books written about this, movies, documentaries. There's a lot of stuff out there. So we're only going to scratch the surface and get maybe the very, very basics, okay? So it's called the Way of St. James. It literally, just Santiago means James in Spanish. Now, why it's unique in the world is because James, the apostle, now Spain is very Catholic, right? All of you probably heard this guy named Columbus and this queen named Isabella. She gave him some ships so he could spread Catholicism to the New World. Well, Spain is very proud of its traditions and its Catholic faith. So Santiago, James, the apostle, one of Jesus' apostles, his bones are said to be buried in that cathedral in Santiago de Compostela. And that's kind of like the end goal, to make the pilgrimage to Santiago. And it's been going on for hundreds of years, since the Middle Ages. So, by the way, if you ever are lost in a Spanish town and you want to find the center of town, look for the church. Everything started with the church, and then it grows out. So, all the roads from the Camino, you can start anywhere in the world, lead to Santiago. Okay, so I've called it an ancient adventure walk to the end of the world for modern people. There's different roads, and we'll talk about the different roads. And then you end up in Santiago, which is, your destination. And then you can also walk, since you've walked hundreds of miles already, why not walk a few more days and go to the end of the world in Finisterre? So some of the questions I get are, well, just what is it, okay? Where is it? And how long is it? Who goes on this? And why do they even want to go? Like, what's the purpose of it? And it's pretty long, so how am I going to know where I'm going for 500 miles? A big question is, what's the cost of it? And then, how do I even get started? Well, some of you have done it, some of you know it, and there's no really wrong way to do this, but there's a lot of different ways to get there. So, like I said, you can start even in your own front door, but there's about 7 main routes that are probably the best traveled. The French route is the longest. You start in France in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. You go over the Pyrenees Mountains the first day, and then you cross over into Spain, and then you just keep walking. That's the route in the orange. I've done that route twice, well, 1.5 times. And then I've done the Portuguese route once, which is the one that starts, you can start in Lisbon or Porto and then walk the opposite direction. So those are the two routes that I know. And as soon as we get to Alicante, I'm getting off the ship and I'm going to start again, and I'm going to do the French route again and walk for 3 days. So I am going from steak and Broadway and wine to backpack and snoring pilgrims and, you know, granola bars. So, yeah. So this is where you're going, you know, all roads lead. And if you can just imagine a river, and the river is people, and you're kind of all flowing in the same direction. So I get this question, how long did you walk? Well, okay, I got there by accident. I hadn't even heard of that, even though I lived in Spain in college, I hadn't even heard of it until my friend came to dinner, and he and I traveled together a lot, and he goes, hey, you wanna go on an adventure in Spain? I said, yeah. I said, tell me about it. He said, well, it's hiking, and I'm like, no, I'm not a hiker. Hiking to me was getting to the car from the house, right? And I'm like, I'll do it, I'll try it. How far is it? It's 500 miles. I said, are you kidding me? What? Do I look like a hiker that's gonna do 500 miles? I had never hiked a day in my life. And I was in my mid-40s at the time. And I said, it's kind of late to start hiking, right? But here's what I discovered, hiking is just walking. I've done that all my life. Sometimes it's uphill, sometimes it's downhill, sometimes you use sticks, but it's not that hard. You just have to have persistence. And your Camino, if you do it, if you choose to do it, it starts right here. And when I decided to do it, well, first of all, the first time I said, hey, I'm gonna do 2 weeks with you, because he was doing the whole thing. And I said, I'm just gonna try it out for 2 weeks, but I've got two things. If I hate it, I'm gonna just ditch and I'm gonna go to the beach, get a hotel, and then in 2 weeks, I'm gonna go catch my plane back home. But I'll give it a go. And I said, but if it rains, I'm getting, you know, a coffee and getting a book and sitting in a cafe. I'm a pilgrim, not a martyr. And he said, okay. And the thing that he sold me on is because I don't camp. Well, now I just bought a camper the other day, but I don't camp. But he said, no, you have to, you stay in these albergues. They're special pilgrim hostels. And they've been set up, some of them are privately run, some of them are run by the community, but they're low cost, no frills, and you don't have to make reservations. So I'm like, okay, walk only as far as you want each day till you're tired, don't have to make reservations, can ditch if you want. I'm like, okay, I'm pretty go with it, I'll go with that. And so I thought, okay, I'll do that. Now you can go higher end, you can go fancy, you can stay in very nice hotels, but the kind of the traditional pilgrim experience is it's based on community, because here's the thing, this walk, if you let it, it can change your life, because it breaks you down. It breaks you down. You're tired, you hurt every day. You hurt every day for about the first 10 days. And then your body starts to be like, oh, this is what we're doing today. So the first time I walked, did 12 days, that was great. That was May of 2017. And you know, I liked it so much, I thought, I'm gonna do this again, I'm gonna do it right. So I waited till fall 2018, and then I started from the very beginning, and I walked all in one go. And I wanna tell you something, you don't ever have to be alone on this walk unless you wanna be, you can be. I've never made it out of town on any of my Caminos. Sometimes I started alone. I literally haven't made it out of the first town without meeting someone that I walked to the end with. And you come along across people that are wonderful, you talk to them, and it is about the people and the connections you make. Even though they're snoring next to you, and you don't really like that. You eat together, you share things, you know, share Band-Aids. Then I kind of feel like Forrest Gump when he says, I just kept running. Well, I did kind of the same thing. I love the whole French Camino, so I decided, let's try the Portuguese one. So I did that one, and that took a couple weeks. It was shorter. It can be walked supposedly in 32 days. It took me 37 because I wanted to take my time. John Barley wrote a guide, and he's got stages. He's got a little guidebook. I brought it here. just to kind of show you. But he's got in there 32 stages. And that's kind of, they're broken up into about 22 kilometers per stage. And it's kind of what you could probably reasonably expect to walk in a day. However, there's no wrong way to do it. You can walk 2 miles a day, and you can walk 10 miles a day, 15 miles a day, whatever. It's the question, the answer to this is, how fast do you walk? So it can be up to you. So who goes on this? Who can go? You can. I want you to take a look, right? You do see me up here, right? I'm over 50, I'm overweight, I have high blood pressure, I know who I am. But I never doubted that I would actually finish, because your Camino starts here. It's really about determination, and you make modifications. I met a very nice lady from Australia, and she had celiac disease. She had to have a different Camino than me. She had to bring an entire suitcase full of food with her, and she had a pack transport every day, and she knew where she was going to stay on her guided tour. She needed that, and it was appropriate for her. Now, you can do it on bike, you can do it on horseback, you can run it, walk it, and it's like walking through a postcard. This is my picture. I can't remember which town this is, but it's sometimes it's flat, sometimes it's hills, sometimes shade. You get a lot of different views of Spain, but it's very nice and very slow. Why do people choose to go on this? People ask me, and I just want to see if I could do it. But you know, it has been said now, again, I'm not Catholic, and I don't know a lot about the Catholic faith, but it is said that in ancient times, in some cases, if you committed a crime, possibly you could be given a penance walk instead of going to jail. And so some people did, to kind of work it out karmically. And I'll tell you what, it is a long walk where you think. And so a lot of the people that I met were trying to search for something. They were looking for, maybe they got their job lost, and maybe a spouse died, or a child, or someone in their life just was very ill and had passed away. A lot of those people, there are some people that spread their ashes. You're not really supposed to do that. Maybe they got divorced and they're trying to find themselves. You know, we all lead really busy lives, and you have stuff to do. You've got doctor's appointments, you got a car fixed, you got to mow the lawn, you have to cook dinner, you have to clean your house. Everything, you hate your job, you don't like your boss, whatever it is. All those things fall away. And this is kind of why people, I think, do it. It's pushing the reset button. It is, even if you're not religious, it's a refresher for your soul. You get that time to think. It's like no other, right? And so people just need to unplug sometimes. And sometimes people like just to hike, right? So what's the best time of year to go? Well, what kind of weather do you like? I was talking to Keith, who I met in the line coming into the ship. He walked the same route I did. He walked it in the summer, and he said it was 40 degrees Celsius, which is 109 for you Fahrenheit people. And it took him 2 hours to stop sweating one day after he had had a shower. It could be dangerous, I think, you know, if it's that hot. In the winter, you can even go in the winter, but you need different gear. If you do go in the winter, be prepared. There could be snow in some of these places. And you'd have to be prepared for things to be closed too, because a lot of things are closed. If you do go in the summer, understand that there's a lot younger crowd. The average age for the pilgrims, the people that hike this, is 30 to 60 years old. So you'll get some older, some younger, but that is kind of the average age. And I've walked in the spring and the fall, and it's been pretty nice, actually. Warm afternoons and cool mornings. So I would say if you're going to go for religious reason, if that's your purpose, go on a holy year. So Santiago, James, if the Feast of St. James falls on a Sunday, that's a holy year. The numbers increase dramatically on holy years. So be prepared for crowds. Also too, there's statistics that they keep. And they want to know how many people walk. So they do try to record, you have to have a pilgrim's passport to stay in these albergues. And they record your starting point and then your ending point. And then you're supposed to get a Compostela. It's a little certificate, like your diploma at the end. The Pope said that you can walk the last 100 kilometers, which is 60 miles, and get the diploma, get the Compostela. But many people want to go from the very, very beginning and do it. So people will always ask you a couple things when they see you. They'll say, hi, where are you from? And where did you start your Camino? And how much does your pack weigh? Right? And I brought my pack with me. This is all I'm getting off the ship with. And it's kind of a weird pride thing, I think. The lighter your pack is, the better. But isn't that about life too? The lighter your pack is, if you let things go. And yeah, if you saw my Facebook post, I am that crazy lady that's gonna give away all my clothes. I am dressed in my hiker clothes today, so I'm not giving this outfit away. But if you see me on the ship, chances are that outfit's up for grabs. So I'm getting rid of everything. But it's about lightening your load. So how am I gonna figure out where to go? Well, follow the people, that's a big clue. And then there's markers too. It's pretty well marked. The first picture down here is about, it's the Portuguese route, okay? And I don't know why that little thing's on the very bottom, but that's along the coast. It's a really beautiful walk on along the ocean. And there's actually a boardwalk, which is kind of hard on your feet. The other ones are in France, or maybe still already into Spain. But it's just a little arrow sometimes on the sidewalk. And it says, Buen Camino, Peregrino, like keep going, go this way. Or it could be on the side of a building. It could be on a rock. Now, I remember walking my first day, and I met up with this very nice lady named Molly, and I said, there's just a rock, and some kids or somebody could, really screw around with you and lead you on a merry chase. And she said, oh, didn't you hear about Denise Thiem? T-H-E-I-M. I don't know how to pronounce her name. But she was American in 2015, a woman, and she was 41, she wasn't a kid, and someone that was really mentally ill and dangerous on purpose misdirected her to his farm. And he kidnapped her, and he assaulted her, and he took her money. The motivation really was money. And he did eventually kill and dismember her. They looked for her for a long time. Senator John McCain was alive at that time, and he had to get Interpol involved. And I'm telling you, this is a freak anomaly, but you do have to be careful. But good things come out of bad, because just the week that I started to walk, that very first time, he had been convicted, and he's in jail for 23 years now. But because of that, a new Facebook group called the Camigas. And if you see my pack, it's got the little Camigas patch on it. And it's a hiking group for women, especially for women that either have been on, are on, want to go on, are dreaming on going on the Camino. And it's a support group. You can ask any question, and you will get so many of the same questions over. What kind of pack should I have? What kind of shoes should I get? Which albergue is great? But these women are supporting you if you're one of them. I remember when I was walking, a young girl got flashed. It was not fun for her. She was traumatized. And so she ended up posting, I feel like I want to quit. Some of the Camigas, they got on and said, where are you? What albergue? We will come and we will walk with you so you don't have to be alone. So when I started my Caminos, there was 1,500 women on that group. Now there's 33,000. So it's a big support if you are walking. But you do have to watch, have your wits. There's also some apps, right? There's a guidebook. But generally speaking, there's plenty of traffic, especially if you're walking with a pack, and especially from Surya on, it's like a horde of people. You're not going to get lost. If you speak Spanish, which I do, my Spanish is a little bit amusing at this point rather than highly functional, but it gets me by. Bronze is a great app, Wise Pilgrim is another. So there's apps too. But you can always find your way. So how much does it cost? Well, I could ask each one of you, how much do you want a cruise to cost? Dude, it's, well, how are you going to stay and how are you going to live? But it's very, very affordable. It's not a vacation, remember. You're not buying souvenirs and things because you don't want to carry even your own stuff. You don't want to carry extra stuff. So it depends on how fancy you want to go. I'm going to give you some outdated prices because it's before COVID. I really went, and I'm not kidding, on about 25 euros a day, which is almost nothing. It's 30 bucks a day at that point. Because all you want is a bed and a shower and a bottle of water and some kind of meal, right? And so it was about 7 euros a bed, 10 euros for a meal. You might get a couple bottles of water, and that's about it. So I think now it's probably going to be about 45 euros a day. And again, that's basic hostels, the albergues. And these albergues that are set up for pilgrims, they are not hotels. They are austere, but they have some special rules. You can't just come and go as you wish. You know, they open at noon for the new group of pilgrims for that day. You can only stay one day and then you have to leave. No multiple days, unless you're maybe really sick or something happens that you're hurt. They might make an exception. But it's lights out at 10 o'clock. Matter of fact, they lock the doors at 10 o'clock. And if you're not in, tough luck. You're sleeping on the street until you get to your pack in the morning. So it's not a wild nights kind of thing where you go out and stagger in. And the other pilgrims will tell you to go to sleep because they're going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and they're going to start walking and they want to beat the heat. So there's special places that you can stay. So I'm going to say, please trust in yourself. And if you really think you need a guided tour, like my friend that had a medical need with the celiac disease, then okay, that's what you need. But trust yourself. This journey can be, it's so exciting, for me anyway, to like not know what's ahead, that unplanned. But there's a saying, the Camino will provide. And it always did. I didn't go without a bed. I didn't go without. I just didn't. It may not have been the meal I wanted or the bed that I liked, but I always had something. And I think that's a good metaphor for life because we don't necessarily get what we want, right? But we get what we need. And there's a picture here of a banana lying in the road, and this is kind of one of the concrete things that happened to me on the Camino because of that. So I really wanted a banana one day, and these little towns, and by the way, this is not only a source of pride for Spain, but economic revenue for these little towns that would dry up and die otherwise. Because, you know, Spain's gone through some hard times financially, and these little towns sometimes serve more pilgrims in the town than actual residents. So if you own a corner store and you have like produce and things, or a little restaurant, or you even open your home and you make it into like, you know, convert and have a few beds, you can make quite a bit of money during the pilgrim season. So I wanted to have, but it can also be a horde of people. Well, somebody got to all the bananas before me one day, and I didn't get my banana. So I said, okay, I sucked it up and bought something else, I don't know. And this was the high desert, the Meseta, and I saw this guy riding a bike. Remember, you could bike, go horseback, walk, run. This guy in tight black shorts whizzes by me, and he's got a nice big banana hanging out of his back pocket really precariously. I saw that black shorts, yellow banana, and I'm like, ooh, I was very envious of his banana. And then, about a mile down the road, I see a banana lying in the road. And I knew where that banana came from. And I'm a good guy. I'm not gonna like steal somebody's banana. but the Camino provides, right? And I carried his banana for a couple hours actually, and then I thought if he comes back and I see him, because I recognize him, I'll give him his banana. But he never came back, so I got my banana after all. I love that. So, yeah. People ask what to pack. Pack as little as possible. I'm going to wear one outfit, take one, and then I have a dress that is also a nightgown. If you see me walking around the ship with a green scarf, guess what? That's also going to be my towel on the Camino. This is a buff. It can be an ear muff. It's a headband. It can be an eye mask if it's too light, or it can be a scarf. So things have double duty. But take as little. My packing list is, it's down to like diaper pins, and I'm taking diaper pins, not clothespins, because you can pin it to your pack. It's awesome. It's in case you need dry stuff as you're walking. But take as little as you absolutely possibly can, and don't be afraid to get rid of stuff. By the way, that's a good metaphor for your life too. Something's not serving you, don't be one bit afraid to offload it immediately. So this is actually another, see the little yellow arrow on the path? Very rocky, treacherous path uphill that day. And this is a picture of the Jesus and Maria Communal Albergue in Pamplona, which I won't be staying there this time though, because I'm actually going to get off the bus or get off the ship and take a night bus all the way to Pamplona. And while you guys are having breakfast on your sea day before Rome, I'm going to start walking. And so I won't even stay in Pamplona. I decided, by the way, I'm not going to go over the big mountain from France, because I've done that twice. And when you do that, you've actually done your hardest day, and you say to yourself, well, I made it that first day, because it is 25 kilometers straight up and over. There's only one little place you can stay. It's always booked up months in advance, called Orison. Not a town, just an inn, up and over. And you say to yourself every day after that, I made it that first day, I can do it today. Right? So the less you carry, the better. The Camino's going to give you what you want, but again, like I said, not what you may think. You meet so many people on this, people I'm still friends with, but I'll never forget my friend Alexander. He was a real hunky guy, looked like he dropped out of a military helicopter, but he had actually been a commando in the Hungarian army years and years before, but now he's a lawyer. And he didn't speak a lot of English, but that's okay. One night we walked together and then a separate as we went back and forth. And what ended up happening was he said to me, I asked him, why are you walking? And he said, I need time to think and talk to God. I said, okay. And so he did a lot of his walking alone, would catch up at night. And one day he told me, he said, okay, I had the craziest thing happen. I said, what happened? He said, I was walking a few days ago, and I'm walking, and I see this beautiful older woman with long white hair walking towards me. Not towards Santiago, she meets me oncoming. And she ends up, she's clean, first of all, right? She's clean, and she doesn't have a backpack. She's not a hiker. So he thought, okay, local, out for a walk. Next day, he's walking, he's 10, 15 miles ahead, and he sees the same woman walking towards him. You think, didn't I see this lady yesterday? And she smiles at him and walks on. So the third day, he's starting to look for this woman, thinking, what is this? Remember, he's on, I'm here to talk to God. And then he gets the idea, when he sees her coming again. Now, he figures this out. He says, listen, I saw her 3 days ago. I'm doing about 15, 20 miles a day. She should be 60 miles. Matter of fact, I'm 60 miles in this direction. If she's walking the opposite way, 2 trains going the opposite direction, she should be like 80 miles from me, at least. And she's not carrying a pack. And she didn't speak. Maybe she's an angel. So he thinks, oh, what am I gonna ask? Maybe she got a message for me. So, day number 4 comes. And sure enough, he's looking for her, he's excited, and here she comes. Here comes the angel. He's gonna talk to the angel. And he ended up stopping and said, hello, can I ask you something? And she said, yes. And he said, are you an angel? And she smiled and then she laughed. He said, no. She said, I wish. She said, my husband's walking the Camino just the same way you are. And every day I drive the car to a parking space. And then I walk towards him. And then we walk to the car together and go back to the hotel and get cleaned up. So you know, your Camino can be kind of whatever you want, but and if you look for things, maybe you'll find it. So if you think you might want to go, there's a lot of things you can do. You can join a Facebook group. You can come to a talk on a cruise ship about the Camino de Santiago. Or a great movie to watch, if some of you have seen it, it's The Way with Martin Sheen. It's an amazing movie. I wish we could have shown it here. I should have brought my DVD and asked the ship. But there's some documentaries. 6 Ways to Santiago is probably one of the better ones because it's kind of realistic. And it's more of the Hollywood version is the Martin Sheen movie, right? It's touching and romantic and sweet. You can follow me on my trip. You can friend me on Facebook if you want. I'll be posting. But you could just get a pack and you could just go. You could try it out like I did. You could. And I have a couple cautions though. Keep your money with you wherever you go. Most of the pilgrims are helpful. They're kind. But keep it even when you sleep. I carry mine. I have a money belt. You're gonna have to. I sleep with it. I even take it in the shower because it's got my passport and stuff in it. The Camino's a cash-based economy, so you're gonna need cash. There's ATMs over, you get it. And if you go through these little towns, almost everything is gonna be not open on Sunday, so prepare for that. If you go on a holy year, plan on being inundated with people, and it's tough. So women, if you are hiking alone, you know, keep your wits about you. I told you the Facebook group. But again, if you keep your wits, it's safe. It is that, you know, 400,000 people finished this last year, and which means about probably, I'm guessing, they say 1 in 3 finishes, so probably 3 times that started. So if something bad happened to one person, it's horrible for that person, right? But in general, it's very, very safe, and it is safe for women, and I never really felt in danger. You get to Santiago, you get there usually with this group of people that you've sort of kind of loosely walked with, or maybe walked with the whole way. And then you celebrate the cathedral square, and that's, you know, a big joyous occasion. Well, if you've walked that far, it might as well go on to the end of the world, right? So Finisterre literally means the end of the world. Now, in medieval times, Columbus's day, they knew that the world was not flat. They didn't think that. But it was the end of the civilized world. And so if you go to Finisterre, this is the lighthouse that I'm standing at there, and that's the lighthouse. The next stop is New York City. So it is the end of the civilized world. And it's pretty beautiful. There's a beautiful ocean. So I think that and I'm gonna open this up for questions, but I wanna read you a little thing. Like I said, sometimes you get what you want, and sometimes you get what you need. And sometimes you just get a story. Because I'm gonna tell you, I kept a Facebook post every day, and it was talking about, you know, like what happened that day. And so I'm gonna tell you about my very favorite day. And you know, I want you to think, probably life is like this too. If you think about it, the most unexpected things happen serendipitously when you're not looking. You know, things that you never expected, that you never saw coming, right? And this was one of those blessings, or it was a mixed blessing, but it was my favorite night. Gragnon's a little tiny town, and they have a donativo, and that means you donate what you can to stay there. They never turned anyone away, and we all cooked the meal together, cleaned up together, and then we went into the church, and it was optional. They lit a candle and said a blessing. I thought that was really beautiful. But then came the night, and that was not so great. So this is called my one night stand in Gragnon. Last night, I slept with a man in a church, and I never even knew his name. I think he was half Japanese, half windshield wiper. Maybe he had a GMC Denali in his genetics because he snored like a diesel pickup truck. I nicknamed him the Thrasher. He touched me and my body all over, and I could not sleep. But not in any intentional or perverted way. Just a series of random jerks and sudden muscle spasms on his part that would make contact swiftly, randomly, and at odd intervals to startle me back to consciousness only as I was about to fall asleep. Neither of us enjoyed it. Now, the real story is the community albergue at the church in Gragnon is set up for sleeping on big mats on the floor. About 25 people were in the loft where I was at. And they're all pushed together, so you only have about 28 inches of personal sleeping space. Well, my amigo, he had no sense of personal space because he was like a human helicopter on that mat. Yeah. Well, Christophe, the Frenchman on the opposite side, actually woke Thrasher up to scold him for snoring. Thrasher was perplexed, but immediately went back to sleep and turned over, flipping off like a light switch. He must have sensed the anger rolling towards him from Christophe's area, so he edged closer to me as a safer bet. Maybe not. Well, I'm a lady, and I'm not going to hit a sleeping human being on purpose, so I had a more subtle defensive strategy. I farted on him. Yeah. He would thrash, and I'd throw his own limb back on him, waking him up in the process, and I'd fart on him. The pilgrim dinner had been very nice, and so I had lots of ammunition. Needless to say, we both did not enjoy our night, and the moral of the story is one-night stands with strangers in Spain are not worth it. Okay, I'm going to open this up for questions. If somebody has questions, and again, I'm not an expert or anything, so Lucy's got a mic, and she's going to...
Here?
Yeah, she's there.
Can I?
Raise your hand.
Hi, my name is Patricia Anton. I live part of you in France. Where is the best? Many people get on in France, many people get on in Spain. Where do most people get on? I missed the very beginning.
Okay, so there's a couple places that are traditionally jumping off points. In France, I mean, you can start anywhere. You can start in Paris, I've seen people, but traditionally it's Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, and then it's right on the border, so you walk over that first day, and you walk into Spain. So a lot of people start there. Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
Actually, two questions.
Okay.
Number one, did you burn your clothes? And number two, what was the toughest day on the Camino?
No, I didn't burn my clothes. Matter of fact, looking back at some of the pictures, I actually think I took this shirt with me because sweat wicking is the key, right, in merino wool. I didn't burn my clothes. I'm like, I like the things that I had, and they worked for me, so I was going to do it again, so I kept them. And the toughest day is the very first day. Because listen, I did not train for this, people. I didn't. And I live in Illinois, so it's flat. I live in the Chicago suburbs. And, well, that is not completely true. One day when it was not too hot, not too cold, not too sunny, not too windy, I strapped 10 pounds of books in my backpack and walked 4 miles across town to my friend's house, and then I had her drive me home, and I called it good, right? So I knew I was gonna hurt, and I'm like, let's just get all the hurt over at once. So the first day, but if you make it that first day, and I swear to you, and some of you that have walked it, if you've walked it, you make it the first day, right? And then you say every other day, this day isn't as bad as that, I can make it, right?
Yeah.
Right. And also, I have a question. Those of you that have walked it, raise your hand for a second again. Look around the room. If you walked it, and keep your hand up, if you feel like it has in some way changed your life, or made you somewhat more, it added value to your life. Pretty much everybody that did. I kind of feel like if you let it, it'll change you. It'll change you. Yes.
Question here.
Okay.
Oh, my name is Debbie. I'm from Florida. You mentioned something about reservations.
Yeah.
Do you have to make reservations along the way? Do you have to plan every part of it and make reservations ahead of time?
So for me, the beauty of it was that it's not required, right? Not at all. Now, maybe the closer you get to Santiago, because the numbers pick up once you know, the crowd increases, because some people are walking for that Compostela, that certificate, and that last 100 miles from Syria. I never did, because part of my journey was trusting that I would get what I needed. You can actually go, you can have every single stop planned, but I'll tell you what, guided tours, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, and this is just what I think works for me, they're worthless, or well, they're not worth it, I'll say. Because invariably what's gonna happen is you're gonna meet people that you meet organically along the way, and you're gonna like them, and you're gonna walk and stay with them, and you can't do it because you're locked into your plans already. I would just say let the Camino provide. Now, there's a kind of, with technology and you know, some people have that, they just cannot quite let go. So hotels.com and booking.com, they've gotten into the game, and what I kind of am guessing, because I don't know, I'm not a hostelero, I don't know what people are doing. If they have private accommodations, what they'll do is they'll put some of their rooms on booking.com. But remember, they charge, booking.com charges them. So, and I'm just gonna make these numbers up. Let's say it's 25 euros that it's advertised on the price. And so they'll get some people on the 25 euro price, but they're gonna have to pay, let's say, I don't know, 6 euros to booking.com. They'd rather charge you as a walk-in, because they know they're gonna get some walk-ins, 22 euros. So they leave some beds, and that's a higher profit for them, right? So I think there's kind of a mix. But again, this was all before COVID, and I may have be in for a rude awakening in a couple of weeks. So I'll just adjust. I don't know.
How does it work if you're bringing a bike, or if you rent a bike? How does that work? Do you have an idea?
I talked to a guy, and so what happens is they rent you the bike, and you kind of have a start and an end point, and so they have a transport service then at the end that will pick it up and take it back to wherever. I think, but I never biked it, so I just met a couple people. But Jeff?
You can hire bikes and you can pick them up anywhere on the route and you can leave the
Oh, okay, so Keith, tell them, Keith.
Sorry, yeah. It's quite easy to hire bikes. You can even hire electric bikes if you want. You can pick them up at the start and leave them where you finish. You know, if you get to Burgos, you can deposit them at Burgos. I absolutely hated cyclists. I'm sorry if there's any cyclists in the room. Because when you're walking with your backpack and it's hot and they go flying past you, and to say, Buen Camino, and wave at you, it's really tough.
But if you're carrying a banana in your back pocket, all is forgiven.
Hi, I'm Linda, and I walked my first Camino last fall. I did 17 days on Portuguese. I went from low back surgery, neck and shoulder surgery, then 17 years sitting at a desk, and the Camino was my reset button. And I had her propeller man. Her one night stand in Spain was apparently my seatmate on a bus. Crossing Spain, because I spent 3 months in Europe last year after the Camino, and that inspired me to not fly home and take a transatlantic on the Epic back home, where I met a bunch of lovely people, one of which is joining me on the Camino at the same time as Michelle. And we've since met at least one other person walking the Camino. So I'm curious, how many people are walking the Camino with us this year? Anybody else? Okay, we've got.
I see some of you like me.
Can folks who are walking the Camino just stand up so we can see folks who are planning on it?
Yeah, we should get together, listen, because you are getting off, we do need to connect.
Yeah.
We have time for one more? Okay, last one, there. Hey, Camino.
Hey, I walked last year, Portuguese route, but I would recommend that you walk at home with a backpack.
Yeah.
I was not a walker, and I think there's no reason not to just to get some miles in and just get comfortable. And also, wool socks
Oh, yeah.
are critical. You know, and I never, no one told me that, but they would in a way. Other people, younger people with me, were just getting blisters left and right, and keep your feet dry.
You're
Keep
exactly
your
right.
hair off, just don't let them get wet.
That is kind of the number one thing. Your feet are your mode of transportation. You can't see it, but I do have on sweat wicking toe socks. This time I'm trying toe socks, but I did sweat wicking socks before. And every day, every morning, you never start with dirty socks, and you always, I did Vaseline on my feet each day to kind of lubricate and help. I didn't get a single blister, but blisters will be your downfall. Also to wear the right shoes. For heaven's sake, invest in a good backpack and a good pair of shoes. And maybe some of you in the front rows can see, I've got some little cute little flower buttons on my shoelaces, and that's not, I don't care really about those, but sometimes your shoes are gonna look like other people's shoes, and they may not be the same size. And I've seen people walk off with other people's shoes. No self-respecting man's gonna think these are his or wanna steal them, because they have little flower buttons on them. And then even a woman won't mistake them for hers. I mean, you could purposely steal them, but hey, I'm gonna be able to see you with my shoes, because I'm gonna be looking for you. But take care of your feet, you're right, is the best thing. And I don't recommend not training. I'm just saying I did it that way, I still made it, so, you know, it worked for me. Yeah. Yeah. And just keep walking. It's like Dory, you know, just keep swimming, just keep walking. And so we probably need to close, but I wanted to tell you, thank you for coming, first of all. And then one other thing. If you are thinking about it, and you're open to it, again, this was unexpected for me. I never thought I was gonna hike the Camino, right? And now here I am. If you would've told me 10 years ago, you're gonna hike 500 miles, I'd be like, no, not me, But be open to things. And sometimes the most unexpected things come into your life and change you in ways that you never saw coming. And it is the most amazing thing. So thank you guys. I'll see you guys around the ship. If you want some clothes.